Hi, and welcome to your employee benefit overview. My name is Cheryl Bloom Garcia, and I will be going over your legal and ID Shield benefit today. What we're going to do is first we're going to review your legal plan, and then we have a new ID Shield that we'll go over. And at the end, we'll talk about how to use your membership, what are your benefit options, and how do you enroll. So first, let's just have a review about the legal plan. The legal plan gives you access to an attorney without the high hourly cost. So think about, have you had a chance to update your will lately? How about signed a contract, you've been overcharged or treated unfairly? Who hasn't received a traffic ticket? Or maybe you've been to a store that had a data breach, like Target, Jimmy John's, the list goes on and on. Or how about you've been in a situation where you thought the advice of an attorney might be helpful? So again, Legal Shield gives you the access to attorneys without the high hourly cost, and for one payroll deduction, you have access to legal advice no matter how traumatic or trivial the situation is. Worry-free every day and every night. Each state has what we call a provider law firm, and that law firm is your law firm in which you can have access to asking them anything, and we'll go over the plan in just a minute. You also have access to attorneys nationwide. We have a total of 6,900 attorneys that are there to help you. Now, we receive 2 million requests on an annual basis. So let's talk about what your benefit includes on the legal side. First, you have personal legal advice on any unlimited number of issues that you have. The only thing you can't call about would be a work-related issue, which makes sense because your employer is providing this benefit. But how you would use your benefit is jot this down if you're taking notes. I need advice on. Go ahead and write that down. I need advice on. I need advice on child custody. I need advice on signing a contract. I need advice on buying a car. I need advice on selling my house. I need advice on updating my will. I need advice because I have to sign this release form when my child goes to camp, and I don't really feel comfortable signing that. Whatever kind of life event is going on, now you can call your attorney and get advice for that. We also have a 24/7 emergency access, which gives you access to an attorney 24/7. So if you're ever pulled over, you're detained, there's a warrant out for your arrest because of what's going on with identity theft, you have access to an attorney for that. Or maybe you're in a car accident. We had an accident, kind of a just a little fender bender. It was on a private lot. It was at a restaurant. My husband backed up. The truck hit this little car. He didn't see it. And the dent was maybe about 15 inches in diameter. We exchanged information, and then they just kind of sat in the car. And then finally the passenger got out, and he started rubbing his neck. And I thought, oh, boy. Here we go. So I tapped the app because the 24/7 is an app for your phone. I tapped the app. Within a minute, I was talking to Sarah at the law firm. I explained the situation, and she said, even though it's a private lot, you don't usually call the police, but because there might be an injury, you need to call the police and do a police report. Otherwise, you've left the scene of an accident, and my husband would have got a ticket. So we called the police, did the police report, and sure enough, that person did a personal injury claim. So we were so glad that we had access to information, so we were able to talk to an attorney to find out what do we do in that situation. Otherwise, my husband would have got a ticket for leaving the scene of an accident. How about letters and phone calls made on your behalf? First, you talk to your attorney, and if the attorney feels the next step as a letter or a phone call, that's included. We had an employee who had one of those bundle packages. It was the computer, it was the phone, it was the cable. Over a 6-month period of time, she'd been overcharged $300. Now, she tried to take care of it herself, but she never got to a person. So she called her attorney. The attorney wrote a letter on her behalf. She got her $300. The next part is contract and documents. So you have unlimited contracts and documents, each one 15 pages. We didn't really have a contract. We got a bid. We were doing some remodeling for our house. The price point was about the same. And I faxed it into the attorney. Why? Because I could. I didn't have to think about how much it was going to cost for an attorney to review those contracts, those bids that we got. The attorneys called me back and said one was better than the other because one guaranteed the work and the material, where the other one just guaranteed the material. So it helped us make a decision for our family. Oh, here's an example of the app, what the app's going to look like on your phone. So you can see that it has call your provider law firm, call your identity theft advisor, call member services, and then also, again, the emergency legal access 24/7 that you have available to you. Now, my favorite part of this legal plan is the will package. So your attorneys are going to prepare your will, your living will, and your health care power of attorney. It's all included in your benefit at no additional charge. Now, each of you, if you have a spouse or significant other, each of you need to have your own will package. If you went to a law firm and said, my spouse and I need to have a will, a living will, healthcare power of attorney, it will cost about $1,500. Those of you that are single, that price point is around $700. That's included in your benefit. Traffic-related issues, if you get a traffic ticket that's defensible, and you know, we're all concerned about our insurance rates. And in most states, your insurances go up because of how many points you have on your license. So we want to help you have your insurance be rate stable. So I got a ticket. I thought the speed limit was 65, but it was really 55, and I was going 71 in a 55. That actually ended a 6-point ticket. So all I could think about were my insurance rates going up. So I called the law firm, I faxed in my ticket, and she said, we need to go to court together. Now, depending on where you get the ticket, you either go together or they go for you, depending on the city or the county that you get the ticket in. But always call your law firm first to find out what are your next steps. Now, I could have signed the back of that ticket, but I still would have had 4 points. So by us going to court, the attorney doing the negotiations, I only had 2 points on my license, which was my goal, under 3 points. How about an IRS audit assistance? There's 50 hours of an attorney's time for the audit. Now, these are your personal taxes, not business taxes. If you do have a home-based business or another type of business, let us know. We can get you information about that. But this is strictly for your personal. Civil trial defense. Now, if somebody tries to sue you, they're suing you, they don't like where you park your car, your dog barks too loud, you have pre-trial and trial time. Every year that you keep the benefit, your hours go up 60 hours. So the first year it's 60, and then on the 5th year it maxes out at 300 hours per year. So then after 5 years you would have 300 each year. This part has a 90-day waiting period, the Family Domestic Services. You'll see that everything says uncontested. Uncontested means that everybody agrees. Both parties agree on the divorce, the adoption, the separation, and the name change. So everybody agrees on that. That's included. Remember, 90-day waiting period on that. Now, if that uncontested divorce became contested, we do have a 25% discounted rate. So even on pre-existing situations, 2 weeks ago I had an employee call me. She was in a car accident. 3 years ago, the insurance company wanted her to sign basically a contract, and she didn't have the legal plan, but she then signed up through her employer, and she had access to have the attorney review that for her to make sure that it's in her best interest. Now, there are no other programs that if something happens, let's say like you have a car accident and then you can go and get car insurance, that just doesn't happen out there. But we will help you with pre-existing because you have unlimited telephone consultations for that. So that's included in the legal plan. Now, who does the legal plan cover? We actually have a family plan and we have an individual plan. So on the family plan, it's you, it's your spouse, significant other, domestic partner, and then it's children up to the age of 26 that they're a dependent. Now, if you have a child that's you're the legal guardian, 18 years, any physically or mentally challenged children living at home are also covered. Now, some of you may not have any children, or a spouse, or your children are grown and you don't have a spouse, then you're an individual legal plan. So it would be employees that are not married, you don't have a domestic partner, and you have no minor children or dependents for that. Now, would you rather pay $250 an hour for an attorney, or how about $18.95 a month for your legal plan as your benefit? Let's look at what other people are saying about Legal Shield. This is an attorney general, and attorney generals, their goal is that they watch over all the attorneys in their state. So you can see what she said there. And then we have Buddy Caldwell, who is the Attorney General, state of Louisiana. And it just opens the court doors for everyone, so everyone has access to attorneys. Now, some of you may know Michael Moore from Mississippi. He is the Attorney General that led the fight against the tobacco industry. So you can see that he's saying all the balances, scales of justice for our citizens. This gentleman is actually a judge that is providing access to justice, because really if you don't have access to the law, to an attorney, it's really the color of green, money. And so that's why we have Legal Shield, which started 44 years ago with our founder, who was in a car accident, and it wasn't his fault. And in that car accident, he went in the hospital. He had hospital insurance, medical insurance. His car was totaled. He had car insurance. If he would have passed, he had life insurance. And so 2 weeks after he got out of the hospital, the woman that caused the accident and got a ticket, she sued him. And that's how our company got started 44 years ago. Now, 12 years ago, Kroll, K-R-O-L-L, Kroll came to Legal Shield and said that 70% of our clients that we're helping with an identity theft issue, it becomes a legal issue. So we all know that identity theft is a major problem in America, but let's look at the different types of identity theft that's out there. A lot of times people think of the first one, which is credit fraud. Credit and money, financial identity theft, is only 17% of identity theft. Sometimes people will say to me, oh, you know, I already have an identity theft plan. Well, the identity theft plan is usually with their credit card, which covers their credit card, or it's with their bank, and it, again, only covers that financial. Make sure you compare apples to apples if you do have any other type of identity theft coverage, because with our benefit that you have, it's going to cover all aspects of your life. So it covers the credit, the Social Security fraud, driver's license, medical, criminal, tax refund. We're all looking for our tax refunds right now, and you don't really want somebody else to get your tax refund. We're actually working with 2 employees right now that work for the state of Colorado, where somebody already filed taxes before they did and got their tax refund. Out of this whole list, medical identity theft is the fastest growing identity theft out there. So we're the oldest new name as far as ID Shield, because we're working with Kroll. Kroll's been in business for 44 years. So we've helped more than 2,000 personal identity theft consultations. And we've helped nearly 10,000 people restore their identity. Because let me ask you this. If you became a victim of identity theft today, what would you do? Where would you go? Who would you call? How would you turn to? Because your bank isn't going to help you with your medical identity theft. Now, I wanted to show you this chart, and we can get this to you in an email because it is kind of little print here. But before we had your benefit was the first column, which was identity theft basic. I'm just going to go on a monthly basis. That was $9.95 a month. And then we advanced because people wanted more monitoring. So we advanced to the identity theft premium. Now the premium as a standalone was $24.95 a month. The premium when you added it to a legal plan was $19.95 a month. Well, we added more monitoring. So if you look at the last column, that is what we're talking about as your new benefit, which is ID Shield. Now, ID Shield, we have family and individual. So ID Shield family standalone is $18.95. ID Shield for an individual is $8.95. Remember, this is on a monthly basis, and I'll show you your payroll deduction in a couple minutes. And the other thing is that if you add the family ID Shield to a legal plan, it drops down to $14.95. So you can see that you get more on the right-hand column for less money if you have the premium. And I know several employees have the premium. So let's look at one of the differences, Triple Bureau Credit Monitoring and Activity Alert. So ID Premium has the Triple Bureau Credit Monitoring. ID Shield does not have that. Everything that ID Shield does is it works with TransUnion. Now, if you feel that you need to have your credit score more often, then the next one down is the quarterly credit score tracker. You can go to Credit Karma, and you can get that. It's free. Just make sure whenever you're going to these, I'll put in quotes, free credit scores, that you're not giving them a credit card number, because then they'll charge you for that. But let's look at the bottom here. Now you have more with ID Shield. You have the payday loan monitoring, court records monitoring. You also have the 24/7 with ID Shield, which means we saw the app before with legal. We also have an app for identity theft, because identity theft just has to happen between 8 and 5. You know, Sunday night you're looking through your email, you click on an email, it looks like the credit union, but oops, it's not the credit union. Or you're at a soccer game on Saturday and you left your wallet in your car. Please don't do that. But people do. If somebody punches out the window in 3 seconds and they take your wallet, what do? Now you have access 24/7 to talk to a private licensed investigator from Kroll. And then you'll notice at the bottom, it's a $5 million service guarantee. Now, no matter which one of these programs that you have, they all include the restoration from Kroll, and that's what sets us apart in the marketplace, because Kroll is going to do whatever it takes, as long as it takes, to restore your identity. We have an exclusive agreement with Kroll. Kroll doesn't work with any other identity theft programs. So you have that. Now, you can keep the current identity theft plan that you have. You're grandfathered into that. If you would like to upgrade to the ID Shield, or in some cases it would be really downgrading on the price point, I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Okay, so who is Kroll? It's the world's largest risk management consulting firm. They work with Fortune 500 clients. So they've already been paid in advance, and they're ready to advise. This same concept as our attorneys. And once again, we've been in the business, they've been in the business for 44 years, just like Legal Shield has been. So two tiers to your benefit. The first tier is we're going to monitor what matters most, which means we're going to monitor all aspects of your life. Last week I was doing an enrollment, new employee enrollment for the corrections department in Colorado. I had an employee come up to me and say, you know, my brother used my driver's license, got a DUI, told the police officer it was me, the employee, and it went on his record, and there's a warrant out for his arrest for that. Okay, so that would be your DMV, your driver motor vehicle. Now, with ID Shield, if there's an infraction that happens, you'll get an email. It's all about being proactive. You know something is going on. Or let's say we talked about medical insurance. All of a sudden there's a whole bunch of medical things that are popping up from Iowa, and you've never been to Iowa. You'll get an email that says, you know, did you move to Iowa? We're seeing some activity in Iowa for that. So it's going to be monitoring all these things. So the first tier is you go into an encrypted portal. You will have your own portal. Your spouse will have their own portal. And you'll put in all this information into there so they can be proactive in monitoring. So that's the first tier. The second tier is the restoration piece, where you will always have, as I said, 24/7 access. And here's what your app will look like for that. goes over to ID Shield so that you have 24/7 access to an attorney. This is Patrick. He's actually one of our Kroll licensed private investigators. So you're working with private licensed investigators. We had an employee, his name is Rolando. He went to do a home equity loan. His interest rates were really high. He goes back to the bank and he said, why are my interest rates so high? I have 2 credit cards. I pay my bills on time. And they said, Rolando, not only do you have your home in Denver, but you also have a home in Texas, a car loan in Texas, and a furniture loan in Texas. That person had been using his Social Security number for 5 years. Now, how do you know somebody's not using your Social Security number right now unless you are buying a house, or refinancing, or buying a car? That's usually when we find out something like that happens for that. So Rolando, the good news for Rolando is he had the benefit when he discovered he was a victim. So even though it happened 5 years ago, he had the benefit when he discovered he was a victim. He signed a 1-page limited power of attorney, gave the private licensed investigators permission to work on his behalf. The private licensed investigators worked 350 hours to restore his identity. Rolando spent 6 hours dealing with it. So if you became a victim of identity theft today, what would you do? And who would you call? Now, through your benefit, you'll call Kroll. You have a private licensed investigator 24/7. Now, we also have pricing, family and individual for you. So who's covered under the family plan? It's you, the employee, your spouse, and up to 8 dependent children under the age of 18. So if you remember, the legal plan covers children up to the age of 26 if they're a full-time college student or they're your dependent. Now, on ID Shield, once they turn 18, they now have their own credit file. So they can still be covered under the legal plan. Let's say you have your child's off to college, they're 19, and they're going to school in New York. They're still covered under the legal plan, but they're not covered under ID Shield. But we can help you with that. Just give us a call, and we can make sure that your college student is also covered for ID Shield. All right, we also have an individual plan. So you don't have a spouse and you don't have any children under the age of 18, then you can have the individual pricing. So let's say you're a single parent. Let's go back to that student that's 19 going to school in New York. You can get the family legal plan, and then you can have ID Shield individual that you can add on to that. Just give us a call and we can help you get that covered. Oh, this is so exciting. Member perks. Okay, because we have so many members, we have 3.8 million members, that we have buying power. So member perks, this is new since last year, for those of you that are watching this as a review. So member perks is discount programs. There's no cost for you to join member perks. It's all part of your benefit. So once you get enrolled, you go to mylegalshield.com. There's a drop down for member perks, and you'll see over 400 vendors that we have that you can buy and get discounts for. So let's look at Sprint at the bottom. That's what I have is Sprint. I save $20 a month on my cell phone bill because I use Sprint. Go over to the first column, the third one down, Diamond D-Back. It's bicycles. So one of our members was going to buy one of those bicycles, retailed $600, went to member perks, got it for $320 on the bicycle. Okay, how about your cable? How about Apple? Who wants to buy some headphones from Panasonic? It's just endless, all the money that you can save with member perks. So let's look at your benefit options. This is per pay period. Now remember, earlier I was talking on a monthly basis, so now we've taken it and customized it to your pay periods. So if you're a family and you just want the legal plan, it's $875, or you just want the family ID Shield, it's $875. When you combine the family legal and the family ID Shield together, you get another discount, so it's $1565 per pay period. You also have the individual legal at $782, individual ID Shield $413, individual legal and ID Shield is $1195 per pay period. Now, how do you get enrolled? Complete the enrollment application. On the application, please only put the last 4 digits of your Social Security number, and then turn those applications into HR. Remember, once you're enrolled, go to mylegalshield.com, download your app. There's a Will webinar there. Remember, there's a tab for member perks. There's also a form center, and there's also some legal videos. So we want to thank you again for being on the webinar for your legal and now your new ID Shield benefit. Thank you so much.